I would, Chairman, and thank you for that and your agreement that certainly the prior administration was not forthcoming with very critical information in the midst of a pandemic on protecting senior citizens in nursing homes. On the appeal, I certainly would point out that none of the witnesses I'm seeking to subpoena here, other than Dr. Howard Zucker, have testified before any committee hearing, budget or otherwise, in regards to this in the Senate. No investigation previously has come out with specific findings on the cover-up and what went wrong, who was or was not listened to as the experts from the Department of Health. And I believe it's incumbent on our oversight function, as I stated earlier, per Senate Rule 7 on standing committees, Section 5C on committee oversight function, that each standing committee is required to conduct oversight of the administration of laws and programs by agencies within its jurisdiction, clearly the Department of Health and its responses to COVID-19, particularly in the worst case scenarios of nursing homes, demands further review. Again, on the prior testimony of Howard Zucker, which was ours, I will note that I requested that Dr. Zucker be placed under oath. That was rejected by the majorities of both houses of the legislature at that hearing, so his testimony was not under oath. We did not run out of questions for Dr. Zucker. We ran out of time. The time of the members that were involved in the Senate hearing had been exceeded and no further questions were allowed. That was not a complete hearing of Dr. Zucker, and it was on a multitude of issues aside from what we're discussing here today. With that, I'll submit my arguments on the appeal.
Okay, there's a motion to appeal. Just as a point of information, on the first hearing that Dr. Zucker appeared at, we did, you're correct, run out of time, which I and many others were very upset with. I will just point out that at the second hearing, there was plenty of time for additional questions. There were no additional questions, and Dr. Zucker ended his testimony at that point. But
Chairman, there's time limits on the questions that can be asked, and I think members were limited to 5 minutes for, if you were chair, 10 minutes for a chair, 5 minutes for a ranker, and 3 minutes for a non-ranking member. So time was not appropriate for the nature of these types of questions.
Okay, Senator Palumbo.
Thank you, Chairman. And again, I second the motion for the appeal. Just by way of a quick comment, and I don't think, we're not suggesting, or I'll speak for myself, I'm not suggesting this committee wasn't engaged. I mean, we've been engaged. This has been something that we've been talking about for years now. But in my opinion, U.S. Attorney's Office doesn't care. They would have done something by now. We are looking to get into the protocols and the specifics that really aren't necessarily criminal in nature. I said there may be a criminal referral at some point, but what we can do, we have different authority as a committee, as a legislative committee, and what we can do is get into the weeds on how this was, how they report specific data, who has their access to it, why there are certain protocols that it needs to be approved by the governor before it's submitted by the Commissioner of the Department of Health. Those are the sort of things that we could get into, because the U.S. Attorney's Office, of course, has tremendous resources. However, they don't care. They don't see anything that's criminal or very significant enough for them to really put some time into it. Otherwise, they would have made a decision by now. So I respectfully disagree that these other agencies are going to get to the bottom of this. I just don't feel, I believe there's a lot more that we can do because of the nuanced aspects of the authority delegated to this committee. So thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to comment again.
Thank you, Senator Palumbo, and I appreciate those remarks. And I do think that we have an opportunity to, I hope, work with the current new administration on some of those protocols. I agree with you. Clearly, the protocols failed state government and failed New York State more broadly, its residents, during the prior administration. I think we have an opportunity to improve on those protocols. And to her credit, I think it was within days of taking office, the new governor, Governor Hochul, she updated the fatality numbers in nursing homes. You may remember back in August, where 12,000 or so additional deaths were added to those rolls. And so I do believe the current administration is interested in the transparency that we're all talking about here. And to the extent this committee can, to that end, be helpful in getting more of that transparency and improving those protocols, I think we are all interested in that. So we do have a motion in a second to overrule the ruling of the chair. I do want to remind committee members that a no vote sustains the ruling of the chair, and that a yes vote seeks to override the ruling of the chair. And I would recommend a no vote on this motion. So with that said, I'll call the vote, and if you vote, those in favor, please signify by raising your hand or saying aye. Senator
Aye.
Palumbo, Senator
Aye.
O'Mara. Those opposed? No.
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 So the noes have it, and the motion is lost.